Hello and welcome back to Lorcana Villain. My name is Baker and today we've got some more top 8 deck lists from Azurite C Set 6 Meta. This information today is coming from the from Battle Bear, a establishment in Germany that we've covered many times before. Every set they are pretty quick on the take, running the most recent set event and known to have some very good players. This event was 47 players and I'm going to give you spoilers straight away. It was won by community face Artabax, who, after I finished going through these deck lists, he's agreed to jump into a call with me for 15-20 minutes just to have a chat about his list and a couple of things, which is always a pleasure to have Artabax on the channel. So you have that to look forward to at the end. Before we go into the list, just a quick bit of admin. In my previous video, I started a giveaway to win the new Stitch Collector's gift set. You have to be either a member or a public subscriber to be eligible, and then comment on that previous video which deck, what is your early prediction for what you think is going to win the European Championships in Disneyland Paris. And I said that you need to either be a member or a public subscriber. And a huge thank you to everyone that took the time to answer that question. But just to let you know, you can't see it on this screen here, but in my YouTube studio, it does show me who is a public subscriber and who isn't. So Lorcana Pandemonium just recently subscribed, may have just found the channel, or maybe wasn't subscribed before but watched my content but saw this giveaway and was like, oh, okay, well, I need to be publicly subbed to enter, so I shall do that now. We've got someone else just 1 day, we've got someone 4 months, there we go, and there are some people that have answered who aren't public subscriber. Well, either you're not subbed or you're not a public subscriber. If you're not a public subscriber, then you're not eligible to enter the competition. Those were the rules. You may be thinking, but I am a subscriber, then that probably means that your subs are private, so that it won't show up on YouTube Studio. So yeah, here's just a little flick through. If you can see your name and see that this symbol isn't there showing that you are publicly subbed, then just publicly sub before I draw for the competition, which will be next Monday, the 25th, and then you'll be eligible. But yapping over, let's take a look at the deck list. Of course, a shout out to the channel sponsor, Cardmarket. A huge thank you to them as always. But yeah, we're going to look at the first place list last, because that's Artabax, and at the end we'll be doing an interview with him, so I think it makes more sense to do that last and then go straight into having a chat with him and getting his thoughts about it. So we'll start off in second place with the one and only list amongst these that has any Ruby in it. Absolute madness. We have Dave with some Ruby Sapphire, and we are playing into that new toy, the Maui Half Shark, 6 cost inkable, 7/5 quest for 1, evasive. Why? Whenever he challenges another character, you can return an action card from your discard to your hand, and whenever you play an action, gain 1 lore. So no, you don't even have to banish the character, you just have to challenge, you can return an action to your hand. We're also seeing the new Sail the Azurite C, 2 cost inkable action. You draw a card, and during your turn, you can ink an additional time. It does need to be inkable, you do need to reveal it. But just a nice additional ramp tool that also drawing your card is super good. We are playing the T-pose on top of that. But yeah, lots of actions that can be brought back with Maui or be played on the cheap to gain that lore. Of course, Visions and Sail, very cheap. For the item package, a lot of the traditional things, we're seeing 2 dimes, 3 quill, 1 dragon, which is becoming more and more popular as the counts. 4 pawp, of course, just 1 copy of Ice Block to complement our Brawls, our Madame Medusas. We are not playing an 8 cost to see. We're not playing any Sisu in here, worth noting. But we're playing a couple of additional items. We're playing 1 Shield of Virtue, 1 cost inkable. You can exert and pay 3 to ready a chosen character. They can't quest for the rest of the turn, so allow for perhaps additional challenges with the Maui Shark to get back even more actions. That could be kind of cool. And of course, just a 1 cost item is always you can always justify it in this sort of deck because of the existence of Flavisham. We're also running 2 copies of Vitalisphere, which is another 1 cost item but gives rush and +2, so there's a way to get this Maui off out of nowhere. We're running 3 copies of Scar to be a great way to combat the ball. We are seeing 4B prep as well, so like sometimes, often you'll see if people are leaning more into Scar, you'll see a lower count of Be Prepared, but this deck is clearing the board on turn 6 if it needs to, essentially. Potentially turn 5 if you need to through Fishbone Quill and the other ramp tools that we've got. But yeah, lots of options to be able to just reset, essentially. And we're also seeing the Din Special, the Dig a Little Deeper, 8 cost uninkable Sing Together 8. Look at the top 7 cards of your deck, put 2 into your hand and the rest at the bottom of your deck in any order. Yeah, a card that Din has made famous, a very esteemed player who's had success at multiple DLCs, and we've seen a couple of other players in Ruby Sapphire pick it up and try it out, but he's definitely had the most success with it. But yeah, it's a cool card. He often calls it a comeback card, and yeah, being able to find the exact pieces you need when you need them, whether it's that B prep for the board reset, or you need to start pushing for game and you want to find things like Lucky Dime. We're seeing 1 copy of Hideaway to combat the opposing items, most notably Lucky Dime and locations. No Kuzco's in here. 3 Madame Medusa, of course, 4 Tamatoa, and 3 Maleficent Dragon. So yeah, it looks really nice, just adapting the more traditional Ruby Sapphire shell to just allow for this Maui half shark to shine. And again, if all you need to add to really complement him is something like a couple of Vitalospheres, which again, 1-cost items, we don't mind that at all. And then you're happy to play more actions potentially. I mean, but this deck was already running a lot of actions. You'd see B preps, how far I'll go. Sometimes you'd see 1 jump aheads as well, which isn't here. You'd always see brawls. You'd always see vision. You'd sometimes see hideaways. And yes, the Azurite C is a no-brainer add anyway. So yeah, I really like the additional synergy. But yeah, this is the only Ruby deck at all that we're going to look at through these top 8. There is some spice to come, but hats off to Dave for second place. Next up in top 4, we've got some EA Tempo. Just win the game, courtesy of Dan. The new toys here being, first and foremost, 3 copies of the new Genie Wish Fulfilled, 4-cost uninkable, 2/4 quest for 2, evasive and on play draw a card. Just one of the best new cards from the set, easily. A fantastic new tool for whatever Amethyst deck you're playing, and there's serious conversations about whether you sometimes prioritize them over rabbits. In this instance, we're seeing 3 genies, 4 rabbits, which I think absolutely makes sense, especially because we are playing things like Snake and Fox, which of course is nothing new, and I don't expect that to change, but just drawing attention to the fact that Amethyst has so many ways it can be built at this point that while I still think more Amethyst decks than not, you'll see Snake Fox. I think you'll see a little bit of a drop-off. We'll see when we get through to round 2 next metadata before European Championships. We see if that statement holds any weight. 1 copy of Bonsai, just a really aggressive quester that can contest the board. We're seeing 4 copies of the new Fred, 1-cost inkable, 1/1 quest for 1, and when he's challenged, gain 2 lore. So you're hoping most of the time that he is going to represent 3 lore. Of course, if he's removed by anything other than challenging, then you don't get the ability, and perhaps he's removed by a Tink or something before he even gets a chance to quest. So but he's not an assured any lore, but if your opponent is reliant on challenging, then he should be an assured 2 or 3 lore. So yeah, really nice addition for that extra bit of reach. And the other main new toy that we're seeing is the so impactful Go Tamago, 2-cost inkable, 2/2 quest for 1, evasive, and stop winding woman up. When you play this character, you may pay 2 to gain lore equal to the damage on chosen opposing character. So for the nice cost of 4, any character that your opponent has left sitting on board, they made a favourable trade with a Maui or just anything with a high amount of willpower, even something like a Tinkerbell. A lot of the cards in Sapphire Steel, particularly, are like big bodies, and Ruby Sapphire, like a Tamatoa with a lot of damage on it. Suddenly, this is just a game ender, and I said this the other day, and I'll say it again. This should fundamentally change the way you play the game as soon as you know you're playing against green. Of course, depending on what you're playing. But if you're playing Maui and I see green, that changes how I use that Maui, especially in the later game. So I'm a big fan of this card. Lal Tiberius Rock. You gotta say it right, Baker. A card I've been a fan of for a long while. Giving Reckless on play, which is just a fantastic ability. They can get around it by singing, but not all decks can necessarily do that. And sometimes it's not even preferable for them to do that. And then, of course, the Lore Steal. Well, it's not Steal because you don't gain it, but the Lore Denial that you can apply when your other characters are banished with him on the board. Really nice addition. 1 copy of that Emerald Chromacon for a bit more board control. 2 copies of the Library as our location of choice. 3 copies of that Elsa 5th Spirit for the Exert ability, and Rush and Evasive. Super strong card. 2 kits for a bit more board control. We're seeing 3 copies of the Sea Witch Queen Ursula, who stops the opponent singing songs, so that's a way you can give Reckless, and now singing isn't an answer for them. But yeah, some decks this just shuts down completely. Anything that's reliant on things like Whole New World or wants to take advantage of singing, Storm, Strength, things like that. Ursula can be a real pain in the backside, and then of course whenever she quests, we can exert a chosen character, and of course 4 copies of the 2-drop to be our shift target to steal those songs. And then for our 1-drops, 4 Merfolk, 1 copy of Diablo, nice, which will complement nicely with our 3 copies of Crab, which can of course make any of these characters to just hit all that much harder. Ursula, even Fred in a pinch, they're both hitting for 4 all of a sudden, and 3 Chernobog's followers. Looking like a super nice shell. Again, just a simple update. I think Genie is a no-brainer in Emerald Amethyst going forward. I would imagine Go-Go is a no-brainer. Fred, I think half the time you'll see him. I think he's a perfectly fine option, but there's definitely room for player preference in that slot, I would say. But yeah, a great looking deck. Congratulations to Dan. All right, let's look at our first bit of absolute spice. When I saw this list, my villainous little heart was so happy. We've got some Amethyst, Steel, Jafar, Janir, Jafar, wherever you are, Severin. That sounds like a boss name. This is like, if I was playing, this sounds like something I expect to see in Elden Ring. Severin. Fight! I know that's Mortal Kombat, not Elden Ring. You get my point though. That's a cool name. Nonetheless, we got some Amethyst, Steel, Jafar. If you are a newer player, this Jafar, the Striking Illusionist, 7-cost Inkable, 4/5, quest for 1, shift 5 on top of another Jafar, evasive, and power beyond measure. During your, I don't know why I feel the need to look right into the camera when I do that. Yeah, you know. While this card is exerted, whenever you draw a card, gain 1 lore. So lots of ways of drawing cards here. We're running Friends, we're running Genies. Of course, Diablo can draw us cards, but most notably, we're running a whole new world. So if we can either sing Wheel with Jafar, or he's exerted and then we play it, or sing it with something else, then that's an immediate 7 lore. And if you've got another character on board that can also sing and you draw into another whole new world, you see the pattern here. But the thing I absolutely love about this deck list is the 3 copies of the Lamp. I told you. 1 deck makes it and I'm like, confirmed, Lamp's broken. 2-cost uninkable item. Banish this item. If you have a character named Jafar in play, draw 2 cards. If you have a character named Genie in play, return chosen character with cost 4 or less to their player's hand. So this does get a lot better now that we have a reason to run this super good Genie anyway. The flexibility that this card now represents, I think, is super cool. But even before then, again, if it's something that you've already put on the board, like before the turn that you try and pop up with Jafar, after you've exerted Jafar, just now trigger your Lamp. That's an immediate 2 cards and 2 lore, also helping you dig maybe to find the next whole new world you need to sing with the other character, or the shift target that the Robin Hood you need to be able to shift and then sing the whole new world you've got in your hand, whatever it is. And even if we're not doing it for that reason, just if we've got a Jafar on board and we need the cards, I mean, the fact that it's uninkable obviously sucks, but with this many Jafars as well, I just really like the Lamp, yo. And our targets are the 2-cost Inkable Royal Vizier, who's a 3/2 and gets evasive during your turn, which is a fantastic shift option because it is also an anti-Diablo. Of course, yes, they can ping it with Let the Storm Rage on, but at least we've got the options. Only 2 copies I do think is low. And then 4 copies of the Dreadnought, who is a Floodborn in and of himself. I wouldn't mind seeing Blue Fairy in here, to be honest. And whenever he banishes a character in a challenge, you draw a card. So there's another way that we can draw cards, and again, just another shift target for the big Jafar, who is not removed, but he's harder. The Dreadnought obviously not removed by Brawl and things like, well, obviously Jafar, but Jafar's removed by cannons and things like that. So the Dreadnought harder to remove. And then for our other, we've got 2 other potential lines to sing a whole new world. We've got the Robin Hood line, and then we're seeing the Mickey Mouse line with the 1-cost, 1/2 quest for 1 with evasive resist 1, which makes him quite difficult to. He's one of the most efficient shifters in the game, essentially. And then obviously his shift target, the Playful Sorcerer, whose main of the sweep away ability is irrelevant because we're not playing any Magic Brooms, and it would probably make me want to play a couple of Magic Brooms, to be honest. Like, you can just play the 1-drop, but irrelevant with this particular list. But his shift 3 is an easy way to sing a whole new world. 3/4 quest for 2 is a pretty nice stat line, and resist 1 is also really nice. Running 4 copies of Big Ting just to be another mid-game board threat, but we can shift onto her because we're running 4 copies of the new Fast Flyer, who, again, those of us that were playing back in Inklands? She's an Inklands card, right? Is she Floodborn? She might be Rise of the Floodborn. Yeah, she is Rise of the Floodborn. Obviously has fallen off a lot the last couple of sets, with everyone like maxing out on Brawls, and that card wasn't even out when Mini first was dominating. But yeah, this Tinkerbell, if they brawl it, they brawl it, but it's still a great aggressive option, and the fact that it's a shift target gives us that many more reasons to run it. Running 4 copies of Pete to shut down those actions, and yeah, I love this list so much. Yes, I'm biased because there's lamps in it. Yes, fine. but I think it's super cool and made top 4, so huge congratulations to them. Going into top 8, we have some SteelSong, and we've got an awful lot going on here. Only one card from set 6 has made its way into this deck, which is the new Pluto Guard Dog. 4-cost inkable, 1/5, quest for 1, bodyguard, and good boy, while this card has no damage, while this character has no damage, he gets +4 strength. Super nice card, 4 is nice and cheap. You should expect him to have max damage a sufficient amount of the time, especially because we're running 3 copies of Rapunzel that can help get that health and strength back up. Seeing that 1 copy of Finder My Platinum, which is a nice tech option against the Sapphire Steel deck, which are growing in popularity. In fact, in the last video where we did the, I asked, what is your early prediction for what's going to win? There was an awful lot of Sapphire Steel. When I announce the winner of that, I will actually post this statistics of what everyone was betting. But yeah, it feels good, and Ruby Sapphire has felt good for a while. So, and again, this is inkable, so nice addition. We're seeing 1 copy of that's Aerial Sonic Warrior, which is a rarer tech choice. 6-cost inkable, 3/8, quest for 2, shift 4, and when you play a song, you can pay an additional 2 ink to deal 3 damage to chosen character. And I think being able to deal 3 is more significant. A few more characters that are kind of like must answers. You can just play Smash, but this is another shift target. Well, it's a shift target, the one and only for the 4 copies of Aerial that we're of course going to run for that wonderful musical debut and Singer 5. 4 copies of the Ballroom Sensation Cinderella to sing these 3 or less cost songs, which are 4 strength, 4 storm, and 2 bare necessities to snipe those non-character cards. And 2 copies of the Cinderella, Stout-Hearted, just such a dominant threat, and just being able to threaten this in itself is important. If your opponent knows that you have access to this, it changes the way they play the game. They have to. 5/5 quest for 3, resist 2, and Singing Sword. When you sing a song, you can challenge a ready character. Super nice. 2 copies of Lawrence, a really nice character, similar ability to Pluto. He gets more strength when there's no damage on him, and questing for 2 is really nice. And at a 3-cost, bargain, I tell ya. 3 copies of Ursula Vanessa with that Singer 4, so she's another way of singing all of these songs that Ballroom Sensation Cinderella could sing, but she can also sing 3 copies of And Then Along Came Zeus and I Found My Platinum, so we like Ursula. 3 copies of that Prince Naveen from set 5, 4-cost uninkable, 3/3 quest for 2, Singer 6, and on play you can play a song with cost 6 or less for free. So if you are denied your 5-cost singer, whether it's because they break the shift line of Robin Hood, or they take out Aerial with Brawl or something, if you really, really need to, you can throw down this Prince Naveen and pop off a whole new world. Or the 1 copy of Grab Your Swords we're playing. And we're also seeing 1 copy of Chernabog, who you pay 1 less ink for him for each character in your discard pile, and all those characters then get shuffled back into your deck. And yeah, there's a lot of characters here, and like you should expect to go through a respectable amount of characters, and especially because we're playing a whole new world, that's another way to dump cards. So this could be a nice cheesy option to get off. So yeah, this SteelSong deck trying to do an awful lot of things and only utilising 1 new toy from set 6. It surprises me a little bit. I think the new Calhoun, I need to watch Wreck-It Ralph again and remember how to actually say that. But I think she's super worth considering. And to be honest, and this is more player preference talking, but I think I prefer the Jim Hawkins shift line to the Robin Hood, and that's not my bias speaking. Again, I'm a big fan of Jim from Treasure Planet. I know the Floodborn is uninkable, which obviously hurts, and you're not paired with any way to ramp, so you're never doing like multiple doing the 2-cost Jim. You're only ever getting Challenger 2 because you're only inking once per turn. But I still think just having him up, you play him on turn 2 and then turn 3 ink, shift the Jim Hawkins, that still means he's a 5/5 and he has Challenger 2, so he's hitting for 7 on that turn, and he does 1 ping when he comes in. Even if you're not doing that on turn 3, I think that's a really nice way to answer locations, which this is still something this deck can struggle with. We are running Zeus, and we do have some like big hard-hitting bodies like the Lawrence and the Pluto, so it's not that this deck can't deal with locations, but it's another way of helping to do it. And again, just any big bodies. We have the Chernabog. We have a couple of things that hit hard, but I just think this Jim Hawkins line serves so many purposes. Again, maybe I'm wrong. I'm by no means a SteelSong connoisseur, but let me know down in the comments, like, if you're a experienced SteelSong player, what do you think of the Jim Hawkins line in that? I think it's a sure thing in Blue Steel going forward, but it's just the first thing that occurred to me as I was looking through the new Steel cards and thinking, what would I have maybe wanted to add? And yeah, I think that's certainly a consideration. But again, he is a 2-cost, the shift target, so that changes thing a lot. You really want to play your shift target on 1, I guess. I don't know. I suppose Robin Hood probably is better, but just food for thought. But nonetheless, a great looking list. Congratulations to Bran. Talking of blue steel, we do have it represented in this top 8, courtesy of Andreas. For new toys, we are seeing 3 copies of that Calhoun Marine Sergeant, 2-cost uninkable, 3/2 quest for 1, resist 1, and whenever this character banishes another character in a challenge, gain 2 lore. So of course she doesn't quest for a whole lot, but the lore gain that she threatens just for banishing characters is so good. The resist 1 makes her that much harder to remove, and at a 2-cost, I absolutely adore that card. So yeah, a great addition. We are seeing 4 copies of Sail the Azurite Sea, and everything else really from prior sets. We've got a couple of Tipo here for the ramp. We've got Smeeze, Pete to shut down those actions. Cogsworth, we are a whole new world variant. Probably should have highlighted that straight away. We are playing 3 copies of a whole new world. It's because more versions that I'm seeing than not are not running wheel anymore. So yeah, this version is still playing a whole new world. We've got 4 copies of Cogsworth, which is great whether you're running wheel or not, but he can sing it. We are running 2 copies of that Aerial Treasure Collector, who gets an additional 2 lore if you've got more items than your opponent, meaning she's questing for 5, and of course with Lucky Dime that gives us insane lore jump potential. 1 copy of Kuzco to shut down those locations and items. 3 fire the cannons. I do think it's compulsory. Break those shift lines, get rid of those Flins that we can struggle against in the early game. You'll have to see it. 4 copies of Big Tink. 3 grab your swords. 2 copies of Smash, yeah, wanting to answer opposing Calhouns, even though it's not great value, but sometimes you need to. There's also the new Gantu, who I'm super scared of, which is kind of a must answer. It helps you get rid of Aerial. There's plenty of things that, plenty of cards where you're glad to have Smash. 2 copies of 1 Jump Ahead as well. Only 3 Fortisphere. That's one thing that I just can't get on board with. I feel like you always play for Fortisphere, in my opinion. But nonetheless, led them to top 8, so huge congratulations to Andreas. Next up, we've got Pew Pew with some Amethyst Steel, another deck that seems to be very popular among the community at the moment. As I said that I, in the previous video, asked people to guess what they think their early guess of what might win, and Blue Steel and Amethyst Steel were very much up there. And we have a couple of new toys running 2 copies of the new White Rose, Jewel of the Garden, 3-cost inkable, 3/3 quest for 1, and on play, you gain 1 lore. So she's a mini goat, but 3/3 stat line, of course a little bit cheaper, so super nice addition. We are playing 4 copies of Merlin Goat, and we're playing 2 copies of Mr. Arrow, Legacy's first mate. I love Mr. Arrow, and he has it's so short-lived, but his story is super sad, and it's a credit to how much they show about the character and make clear about the sort of character he is in such a short amount of time that when it gets to his final scene, it means that much more. So super cool character. But yeah, 2-cost inkable, 1/2 quest for 2, and resist 1. Really like this card. Of course, resist 1's going to make him that much harder to remove. He will fall to a smash, but as a 2-cost character, you're happy with that value, and questing for 2 is really nice. So yeah, I'm a big fan of this introduction. And then yeah, and 4 copies of the new Diablo, of course, who when banished allows you to draw a card. We are not playing any crabs, which I always like to see with Diablo, but you don't need them by any means. We do have a 4/4 snake and fox line, no rabbits whatsoever, and no genies. I don't know if I can get behind no genie. I don't know. I suppose we're just super low to the ground. We're also running 1 copy of the new Yzma, Conniving Chemist, 4-cost inkable, 3/3 quest for 2, and you can exert if you've got fewer than 3 cards in your hand. Draw until you have 3. So yeah, you just want Yzma down. You want to empty your hand as much as possible. Although just 1 copy means that we're probably not too reliant on that strategy. So yeah, we are running 4 copies of the library, which gives us draw, and again 4 Broom, 4 Diablo, and 3 Chernobog's followers. That's pretty good. 3 copies of Friends on the other side. So yeah, we should be fine. And how many uninkables are we playing? 11, the 4 Maleficent, the 3 Cannons, and of course 4 copies of Doc, who's another way that we another card that can complement us emptying our hand and just playing out as much of it as possible. So yeah, I think the 1 Yzma, I think I'd probably want a higher count of Yzma, but everything else looking really nice. 1 copy of Bosses on a Roll, super like this card. It was my reveal card. I think it's a lot of fun. I'd probably cut the boss and run the 2nd Yzma, and I may even be 3 Smash. We don't have a lot. We have Foxes and we have Cannons. I don't know. I feel like I want at least 2 Yzma. But other than that, this deck looks super, super nice. So congratulations to Pew Pew. Next up in top 8, we have unknown, unfortunately. There was no name attached to this list on inkdex.com. But we're seeing some Emerald Steel with I was about to say not a single piece of discard, but that is a lie. We have 3 copies of Ursa the Deceiver and 4 copies of Cursed Merfolk. Okay, so we have some discard, but we are not a discard deck. There's no Prince Johns here, there's no Sudden Chills. You love to see it. We are running 4 copies of the Ursa Deceiver of All, who of course can double sing songs. And what can she sing? She can sing, of course, Storm, Strength. And we are running 3 copies of... And I want a moment to be real. Wanna touch things I don't feel. Wanna hold on and feel I belong. And what do you think you'd ever say? They're the ones that stayed the same. They don't know me, and I'm still here. Sorry, but it's an absolute classic. Love this song. 3-cost Inkable. Chosen character gains resist 2 until the start of your next turn. Draw a card. Really nice song. And obviously, being able to double sing this with Ursula is hella good. Being able to draw 2 cards and give a resist 4 to something, whether that's your Ursula or your 1 or 2 drop who you just quested with. Give Fred resist. That's pretty cool. So yeah, I like the addition. But yeah, we're just playing into a really aggressive tempo strategy. We are running a 3-3 Clarabelle line as a potential way to build back up our hand. 4 Cursed Merfolk, 3 of those Fred, 4 of those Go-Go Tamago, who I was blushing about earlier on. Mentioned 3 so I was going 3 copies of Calhoun and 4 Smees, 4 Kit Cloud Kicker for that ball control, 4 Pete for the action control, 3 Pluto for the defense and super nice stats, 2 copies of the terrifying Captain Crankyhead Gantu, which was definitely someone at Ravensburger on the design team that was hyped for Chapter 1 Gantu, was like, yeah, this is going to be great. And then the community, memed all over it and was like, hold my Inkcaster, and made this monstrosity. 5-cost Inkable, 4-3, quest for 4. Nothing else to be said. Run your smashes. We're running 1 copy as well of You Came Back. 3-cost uninkable, ready chosen character. Such an incredibly strong ability for questing multiple times. Sing another double song with Ursa the Seer of All. Why not? Treat yourself. And then 2 copies of Hidden Cove to mess up the opponent's maths, which traditionally we see played alongside Diablo, but in and of itself is going to mess with their maths for anything else. The Ursula suddenly cannot be brawled. Your character, some things that would have fallen to Sisu no longer do. Things that would have fallen to Medusa no longer do. Not to mention just fundamentally you are affecting just straight challenges. So yeah, really nice to look at an Emerald Steel deck with not built into the discard, just very, very tempo based, and of course biasly love the addition of I'm Still Here. But yeah, this looks super nice, very quick. Congratulations to Unknown. And as promised, here is the man, the myth, the legend, the all-might, the all-father of the EA tempo. You all take a bow to our man Artabax. It is so good to have you on the channel again, my friend. How you doing, mate? You well?
Thanks for having me. It's always a pleasure and an honor to be here with you. Thanks for inviting me.
You are one of my favourite people in the community, Artabax. You have great things to say. You're a great player. You're super supportive. And I know I speak for many that you're a fan favourite. So it's great to have you on the channel time and time again whenever we get the chance. And yeah, what perfect time to do it again than you off the back of a pretty good first set 6 event for you. We've just run through all of the decks except yours. But you came first. And yeah, now on the screen, the guys at home will be seeing Artabax's version of EA Tempo, Just Win the Game. So anyone that knows you knows that this is your pet deck. So my first question for you, before you run us through it and talk about anything that you think is of interest or would be of interest to the audience, my question for you is, did you go into this event with the thought trail of, okay, EA Tempo is the deck I like, let's see how it does? Or were you in the mind state of, oh, I think this feels really good this set, so I think this is a good choice to do well? Or was it a bit of both? What were your thoughts?
I think it's a mix of both, yeah. I tested a lot, to be honest, before the tournament with proxies. And yeah, I was kind of confident that this is probably kind of the right shell of green purple right now. So I did test a lot, and I thought, yeah, it punished a lot of decks because it's super fast, and I think it's in a good spot, yeah. I think it's not. It's a playable deck in the set. It's still some things are unsecure how decks will perform this set and how the meta will settle. But right now, I think it's a really good choice to punish slower decks, and even against some other decks, it's really really good. The only really matchup you don't want to face a lot is Green Steel probably, but yeah, other than that, I think I'm okay.
Yeah, because EA Tempo is one of those decks where I please give me your thoughts if you think differently, but I'd say like set 3-4 were kind of the heyday, like where it was kind of at its most powerful. Really, set 5, it was popping up every now and then. Some versions more along your sort of builds, the more consistent high numbers, but we're also seeing kind of those toolbox versions emerging, but not to be considered in the top decks. But you think this could be positioned to do well this format, and obviously this format that we're going into is going to be continental, so it's super important. Can you talk me through some of these deck choices, what led you to them, and then perhaps off the back of that, other things that you considered?
I think that the meta, as I experience it, is super fast. So you need to compete with that somehow. You can't let some slower decks, let them do their thing, because they will crush you then if you give them a lot of time. So you need them punish early, and you need to have cards that can compete in racing situations, and therefore Murfolk and Banzai are still really really good. There are some lines. Murfolk into Banzai into Kit is sometimes game winning. Auto win sometimes if they miss their 1-drop. Then you play Murfolk on the play. They play no 1-drop. Sometimes they miss. Then you play Banzai. They play a 2-drop. You Kit their 2-drop, and then you're on 7 lore. And the Genie is so good, especially in this deck, because it helps against all the matchups that we struggled before, like Green Steel or Blue Steel. Genie against Blue Steel is crazy. They don't have answers. Blue Steel was a bad matchup, so he helped. It's still not. We are still not highly favored or something, but he helps a lot and makes that matchup, I think, pretty even. What and the Go-Go Tamago, of course, is.
I was going to ask about that in particular, because I just, in the video, I spent a lot of time saying Go-Go Tamago not only is one of the best new cards, but it should change the way you play the game. Because if you're playing Mauis or just anything big, Tamatoas, then this reach could be 4, 5, 6, 7. Can I ask you how it performed for you at Battle Bear?
I had one of the craziest finishes in my Lorcana history.
I want to hear this.
I played against Red Blue, and he was on 18, and had a Shark Maui on board.
Okay.
So he needed 2 spells to finish me. So he played How Far I Go. Didn't find something with How Far I Go, no other spells, so he came to 19. And then he said, okay, whatever, I pass, it's your turn. Because I was on 12. And I had a goat on board, and I was on 8 ink, and I hit his Tamatoa with my goat, and played 2 Go-Go Tamagos for 20. It's crazy. you never would have thought that in the past that you even nearly can finish this game with 8 missing lore. He wasn't even. I think he wasn't even. Really focused or something, because I have won anyway. He's on 12th floor. I will never lose this. And then and against any matchup, it's just a threat.
Yeah,
they will always play around it, and you can force Maui trades like you said, and so it helps so much. It's countless the situations where she shines,
and she's evasive to add on top. Like
against the Diablo decks, you can just play her on turn 2. Sometimes I know they can sometimes storm her, but they don't always have it.
They don't always have it. It's in the kit, the toolkit that this card has that it can do. And again, as we see the highest level of play from like EU and NA championships. You're going to see games where it's going to be a green deck with these cards against things like Sapphire Steel or Ruby Sapphire, and you're going to see the Ruby Sapphire Steel player give them extra turns, because if it's a situation where, okay, I quest here always, that could give them game, and that in itself is going to give decks like this a bit of a catch-up chance, just that threat. I do think it is one of the most impactful cards that this set has gained. Yeah. And the other thing that I want to bring your attention to, because I could talk to you all day, Artabax, as you know, but another thing I want to bring your attention to and get your opinion on, another thing I was saying during reviewing the other decks was Snakes and Foxes. I think less so Foxes, but before, a lot of Amethyst decks, whatever you were paired with, it was nearly unknown to think that you wouldn't play 4 Snake, 4 Fox, right? But I think now we have such a toolkit available in Amethyst that while I still think the majority of the time you're going to see Snakes and Foxes, some builds are going to at least cut the Snakes or go down to lower counts. And we see from your list here, you're on just the Foxes. Obviously, no explanation needed why there. She's cheap, she's rushed, she helps you control the board. Every reason to play Fox. But yeah, was that a hard decision to let go of the Snake?
Yeah, it was. And it's still kind of reasonable to even play her.
Yeah,
still.
Of course.
The problem is the lines for me are not there too often. I never play Snake on turn 2.
Mm-hmm.
Nearly never, because it's too slow for our game plan.
Yeah.
You always want to play Banzai, or against SteelSong or something, you want to play Ursula. So the situations where you want to play Snake, it's just not there. And in the end game, yeah, I mean, she could still be good in the end game sometimes to bounce your gold or something. But
of course,
yeah, it's also very hard to find space
exactly
in this deck. Yeah.
We're spoiled. That's what I mean. We're spoiled for good and cool cards now, right? With Emerald and Amethyst especially. So yeah, is there any other card that you can talk us about that you maybe considered here, or that you're still considering here?
I would like to play a third Declarable.
Okay.
I think two are too less for me, because you need them in grindy matchups, where you can't raise that early sometimes. Yeah, the Gazelle was really good, surprisingly.
I was going to ask about the Gazelle, the one-off.
Yeah, she did a lot of work. You can even play 2. I traded some genies with my Fox with her.
Nice.
And I can sometimes quest with Banzai and protect him till next turn. So a very versatile card. Yeah, but I was kind of happy with the list. And you could get more risky and play less 1-drops, but yeah,
you're happy where it sits at the moment. You sent out a tweet talking through your matchups, and what a run. 2-0, completely undefeated all day. Blue Steel round 1, Ruby Amethyst, I'm guessing that is round 2, SteelSong round 3, Ruby Sapphire round... My God, you had everything. You faced the Jafar deck. I was a big fan of that Jafar deck, I'm not going to lie, Artabax. I got very excited talking about the lamp.
I think the deck... really needs to be discovered, because that has some crazy good lines. They played a new 3-top Tinkerbell that they can shift on, and if you play against Blue Steel or something and you play turn 3 Tinkerbell, turn 4 Genie, then they will have hard times.
Decisions to make.
That's the 4 lower clocks that's on the board. That's really... nasty. And the lamp is crazy. I had to read the card.
I bet.
It's just if you have a Jafar board, you draw 2 cards. It's crazy good.
But like the flexibility because there's a reason that it also has the genie effect. If there's a genie on board, you bounce a 4-drop, and we're already running this great genie. So I'm not gonna lie, that's been on my list of like hidden gems for a while. Is the lamp? So I was very pleased to see that. But yeah, a lot of fun. And then for top 8, the Amethyst Steel aggro list, that's rising in popularity as well. How was that match up for you? They're trying to do similar things, but of course they've got the steel to kind of contest you. Was that tough?
Yeah, it was tough. Kit helped a lot for the genies and so, but in general it's tough because they have cheap removal, and it's just even maybe we are slightly unfavored because they have cheap removal, but Gogo helps too, and
Yeah.
it's a close game. I think for matchup, I was I was on the play the first game, and then the second game I won very close. So yeah, yeah.
Yeah, I noticed from this you were
It's
on the draw for nearly every round of Swiss.
yeah.
But obviously you won the right from topping Swiss to be on the play throughout top 8. I imagine that's what it was.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it
which
was,
as it should be, in my opinion. You go through Swiss.
Yeah, I also think so. Yeah.
Yeah, you win that right. Artabax, it's always great to have a chat with you. Are you? Do you have any events coming up anytime soon that you're attending?
Yeah, today, tomorrow, by recording, probably tomorrow, I will play against in the EU versus NA tournament.
Mm-hmm.
Probably have heard of it. Yeah, I play against Senseed tomorrow. Yeah, I'm very excited.
Yeah, me too.
Can be hard because I assume he's on green still, but yeah, let's see how it.
It's going to be a great match.
Yeah, I'm excited. I'm just honored that I am allowed to play there.
That you are representing.
Yeah.
It's well deserved. It's well deserved, Artabax. It truly is.
Thank you.
So you've got that, and then you're going to be in Bologna along with me.
And then I would yes. That's very exciting because it's at 5 last time, and I have to change my mind to not play around cards that don't exist yet.
I'll be keeping an eye out for that throughout the stream.
Yeah, and then it would be very exciting.
Awesome. And of course, you've got you've had your channel for a while, but the podcast with Lorcana Decklists, which I'm a big fan of, and the Artabax's channel will be linked down below. But I'm sure most of you watching are already familiar. But if you're not, then make sure you sub to Artabax, and yeah, his podcasts with LD are always super informative and all that. So yeah, Artabax, thank you so much for joining me. I wish you the best of luck throughout Set 6 format, and I look forward to seeing you in Bologna on Saturday, mate.
Thank you so much, mate. Thanks for having me.
And that is it. Such a pleasure to have Artabax on the channel. Great interview, great set of deck lists, but we're going to leave it there. Just one final reminder, my previous video, it will be linked below, is the giveaway for the Stitch gift set. If you've already left a comment, please just go and make your subscriptions public, or sub to me if you're not already. And if this is the first you're hearing about it, go check that video out for the chance to win a Stitch gift set. But that's going to be it from me for now. Thank you so much for watching. If you're brand new to the channel, please subscribe for all things Lorcana. Hit that like button to show your support, and we'll see you soon.